J.J. Solomon.
This Corey Bradshaw, Mr. RTBA, Mr. These boys can't touch me on my worst day. And this is the Spit Bucket Podcast.
It's your boy, Mr. RTBA, Mr. 214, Senor Dos Uno Cuatro, Senor Dos Catorce, Mr. Undeniable, Mr. D Boy can't touch me. On my worst day, right here with my dog, my partner in crime, my brother from another, Mr. J.J. Solomon. What's popping, my guy?
I'm loving life, bro. Beautiful weather outside. Got a great show planned for the evening. How things going on your end, dog?
Oh, man, everything going good tonight, man, especially with the guests we have, JJ.
It's the return of. It's the return of
the
Mr.
biggest instigator in boxing, Bernard, the executioner, the alien, Hopkins. He's in the building.
Let's bring him on. Let's bring on Mr. Hopkins. We'll be happy there.
What's up? What's up? Spit bucket. I had to spit the bucket. Popping.
What's going on, dog? It's kind of freezing up a little bit. Hold on. Corey, you catching B-Hop?
Yeah, it's kind of freezing up a little bit.
You were just good a little bit ago, dog. Can you hear us?
I hear y'all clear. I hear clear.
Yeah. You hear us loud and clear?
You hear me?
We can hear you, but it's kind of glitching a little bit. It's a little bit. It's freezing a little bit. Hold on, we'll get it working. Hold on, real quick. See if there's anything on my end. Can you hear us?
Yes, loud and clear. You loud and clear.
Let's see you move around a little bit. No, you just
it's kind of stuck.
It's frozen up on there. Hold on. We'll get it going.
Is it on mine or y'all in?
I think it's you, man. It was just on really good before we went live. Hold on. Yeah, it looks like it's you, man.
So hold on. Let me see something.
Hey, there you go, right there. Whatever. It sounds like we can hear you good.
Yeah.
You hear me? I know you hear me clear. 1,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, 10, 9, 8, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey,
you want to do that intro one more time? Hopefully we
bring it
be
back
good.
Correct. Talk about the instigator, the biggest.
Biggest instigator in boxing, undisputed.
Correct. I went from the executioner to the alien with the green juice.
Yeah.
So
to the biggest instigator in boxing.
So is that how you?
But let me tell you, I stand proudly, and I'm going to speak loudly. From now on, having that title and really been given that title by a fan, by a true hardcore fan that hollered that out to me, and I said, you know what? That sounds like a catchy and a fitting name for myself. So I carry that with pride and dignity, and I'm gonna have fun, but I'm also gonna be fair but firm.
There you go. Salute. Hey, little shout out to Mr. Cortez, Joe Cortez there too. Hey, so are you officially retiring the executioner and alien aliases?
They all in the Hall of Fame. They are characters of history, and that was actually on the physical part of the executioner, the alien, and B-Hop, which ended with the generation that we live in now, calling me the B-Hop slogan. And let me tell you a name. But those three those three characters, those three Hall of Famers, those three names, those three brands are cemented in boxing history. So, depending on who you talk to with age category, they will call me either one of those three names.
Gotcha. Well, we got a lot to cover. And before we jump in, guys, y'all do not want to miss this show, and y'all don't want to keep it from y'all's boxing community. We've got a real good show planned today. There's some of the things we're going to cover. So if you don't mind hitting that subscribe and please sharing this link, because B-Hop's got a lot on his mind that he wants to address, and we're going to talk some big boxing action. Hey, let's lead it off, man. We've got a loaded up schedule. Golden Boy doing their thing, doing their part in the boxing world, filling up the boxing schedule. The big news that we finally saw, you promised us that it was coming, was the Tank Garcia fight, the Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis. It looks like we're locked and loaded for Vegas in April. How you feeling about that, man? What are the thoughts?
I'm feeling like most of the boxing world is feeling probably even more joyful and grateful that they get a chance. When I say they, the fans and we and the critics and non-critics get a chance to see greatness and mature to a great fight. And that's what boxing needs more than ever. And I think that this will be, I believe, the front line of what to follow. And that's going to be key in a few months from now, where people are going to get a chance to now anticipate certain big fights that we're going to talk about come to maturity and come to fruition. So that's exciting to hear, that to start off the spring, a perfect timing to start off the spring, the beginning of the year, based on the spring and the fight months that we sort of glorify and try to have big fights of those type of months, spring and definitely the fall, and everything else in the middle is considered bonuses and gravy. So I accept this. I'm proud that it got done. It took multiple people. It took multiple promotional companies to be able to come together. Exactly.
Yeah,
to
salute to that.
On conversation, to agree to disagree is one thing, but to give the fans what they need and the boxing history that needs to be started from this generation until they're done, it is everybody deserves a applause.
No doubt.
Respect.
Bernard, this is a huge fight, right? I mean, you got Gervonta Tank Davis against Ryan Flash Garcia, two of the biggest young up-and-coming fighters on this planet, not only skill-wise, but the new era social media-wise. These guys have a huge buzz. I hear a lot of people out here saying this pay-per-view would do over 1 million buys. What's your thoughts on that?
It's been a while since that happened, but if any fight rather, have the potential to not only make that reality, but also do a lot better as numbers get tally up as months go by after the fight. And let me tell you, the drama and also the personality of these two champions. Well, you can call them champions. They be cementing themselves as greatness as time go on. But this fight starts with now greatness. Who win this fight be considered headed to greatness, Hall of Fame, and everything, every other accolades that come with that. But yes, I believe that this fight would do not only 1 million, but a little bit more to not only set a new record, but also get people excited for what comes next. And that is key. This is attached to a lot of things that we're going to talk about. But yeah, let's deal with the commercial. This is the best infomercial that we can have to start off the year, spring, at an important month of boxing, going into the summer months and also going into the fall. in 2023. I mean, we're not even. I mean, can you imagine what 24 going to be look like?
No doubt.
Only if this become a habit that we need to continue to make it a habit going forward.
No doubt, dog. And on that same topic, right? That same topic. There's several fights we want to touch on. But the big news we got this week was the WBO ordering Terrence Crawford, Alexis Rocha. That's big news. That's big news because obviously we had you guys and PBC and all the parties involved made Tank and Garcia. Those are two big players. The promotion companies, the networks, two big players for what ultimately everybody wants to see in Spence and Crawford. It seems like y'all knocked out one task, one check mark, one boulder that could be in the way. So now with the WBO ordering Crawford and Rocha is one of y'all's fighters, and y'all are going to be working with Crawford. First of all, I don't want to look past Crawford Rocha. So I want to talk a little bit about that, but I also want to talk a little bit about what this potentially could mean for fight fans, the boxing world, all over the world, for a potential clash for the big fight that we've been talking about forever with Crawford and Spence.
It has a lot. It's connected. It's connected in a lot of ways, and that's important. And I'm glad you mentioned that because you can see the writing on the wall. I'm telling you, what you see is with the goal.
Gotcha.
To make those fights happen, and we know if it's based and predicated on Golden Boy promotion having the influence over those Crawford and the fights in our stable, we can tell you that those fights going to happen with us. When it's outside and we're dealing with other, say, promoters, minds got to come together, and sometimes it takes some work. Just like the Tank and Ryan Garcia fight took some work. So hopefully it won't be as long and as drawn out and soap opera-ish as Ryan and Tank was. But at the end of the day, I just want to get it done. I would love to see those fights either way with Crawford, because I believe, again, Crawford believes he's the best in that division. And I'm one of those who support that. Now, I could be wrong. I could be right. Let's see it. I dare to be wrong to prove that I'm right.
So, Bernard, speaking of Crawford versus Rocha, that ties in with Earl Spence. Y'all made Ryan Garcia versus Tank. Obviously, in boxing, we know it's an A side and it's a B side. Tank was the A side. Ryan was the B side.
Correct.
Golden Boy, we got to salute y'all. Y'all made that happen. Now, like JJ said, I'm not trying to jump past Rocha, but just from the boxing public, we look at Crawford beating Rocha. So I'm just saying, let's just say if Crawford's beat Rocha. Earl Spence is definitely the A side. Crawford is the B side. Will y'all be able to make that work? Because honestly, the reason why this fight has been held up, because Crawford doesn't think he's the B side. He thinks him and Earl Spence is equal. And the numbers don't say that.
Well, the numbers is the problem. But let me tell you, it's Crawford. It's Crawford go. Crawford is the boss. Crawford is the person that has the last say about who he want to fight, at least with us. And we was clear and loud to him about how we feel based on him running his career, based on him taking a stance, almost a year ago, months ago, more than a year ago, to be not only independent thinking, but independent choices. I'm pretty sure he has people to give him the right information when he needs it. But as I've spoken to Crawford, and I don't mind sharing this, is that Crawford is his own man. He knows that he has to prove by beating certain people or fighters or champions or names to get everybody talking the same language that he's talking. That's fans, that's reporters, that's whoever a Bud fan or doubt what he can do or can do. He's willing to prove that. That's what I got from him at the Golden Boy office. To me, it's like this. I believe Crawford will fight anybody. Whether it's on our end, we got a few fighters that can fight Crawford if the Spence fight doesn't happen. If there's at least 3 names that everybody that's listening, including yourself, know that that's a fight that people will want to see. They wouldn't sneeze up at that. But if I'm a fan, and I'm talking to you as a fan, not by a promoter, not by a partner of Golden Boy, if I'm a fan, I would tell you, if Crawford gets a fight right away and he's ready for the top, like they ready for him, because he's considered the top, then I would like to see Crawford and Spence. I would like to see Crawford and Spence out of the gate. Now, Spence is not with Golden Boy, in case anyone out there in the boxing world don't know this. So why I'm saying that, because from a fan, I would like to see those 2 fight now. But if they both need a quote-unquote fight before, it won't be no tune-up fight because they got to be just as honest and they got to go in there and be just as ruthless as they're going to be in there, whether it was Crawford versus Spence. Whatever happens, it has to be one and fight or fight. One or fight, which means they'll fight someone that's dangerous, someone that's capable of beating them. And then they'll meet up. But if you're asking me as a fan, not a promoter, not a partner, I would say let's do Crawford and Spence right now. Let's do that. Not in September. Let's do it now. If it's September, that means I want both guys to fight someone that has a heartbeat and a pulse and credibility.
Gotcha. Well, on that note, we know another big name in the 147 division in the Golden Boy stable. Got a big fight coming back home to his hometown in Arlington, or his hometown, Grand Prairie, but we'll be in Arlington in April between Stanionis and Ortiz. Another big fight that we've been waiting for. And even this fight, you mentioned earlier, this all ties together. Ortiz is ready. Ortiz is ready for the big fights. Stanionis is a big fight. This is a championship fight. But again, we were expected to hear Spence Thurman announced for April. We still haven't heard that. So there could still be some stuff going on PBC side that we don't know. So what's going to be the move for y'all? Let's say Virgil gets past Stanionis. Crawford's going to be a heavy favorite if the Rocha fight happens. Are y'all going to be actively pursuing Spence, or is it going to be like, look, y'all do what y'all got to do. We got Virgil here now. I mean, what's the game plan, man?
I think it should be both. I think you should pursue Crawford, and Virgil is ready to fight anybody. We all know Virgil don't care. He believes this is his time. I think, be honest with you, we are the best. We got the best of 2 worlds.
No doubt.
Because at the end of the day, if Crawford does what he want to do and he has that right, by no means, then it doesn't knock Virgil out. It doesn't make him become somebody that disappears. Virgil is not going nowhere. Virgil is not only young, but he's hungry and he's getting better every fight. You agree? I agree. I believe the boxing will agree that Virgil is getting better every fight. You see something different. He executes his opponents different every fight. And there's no different coming up very soon that he will display that energy. He will express that talent. Anybody in that weight class has to be looking over their shoulder. I don't care who they are. They're going to be looking, they have to be looking over their shoulder. If they're not looking over their shoulder, it's their managers, it's their entourage, it's their male groupies, and anybody else that's in there, because Virgil's knocking on the door of that weight division very, very, very dangerous and respectfully. They know they're going to have to see Virgil. And you know what? We're going to push it where they're going to have to see him. whether it's going to be pushed through what? A sanctioning body because of Virgil performance and his growth and his fan base, and he keep beating them. He keep knocking them out. That's what you get. That's how you get their attention. Yes, you got to talk to let people know how you feel. It's part of the job. But one thing for sure that we all respect and understand, action, action. That's what Virgil is putting down every time he fights.
Hey, I got to agree with you 100%. I want to make this statement on Virgil Ortiz, then I ask you my question. Like, I done seen a lot of fighters work out Bernard Hopkins. I done been in a lot of gyms, world champions. I've never seen a guy work out as ferociously as Virgil Ortiz. I've been covering the guy. He from down here in our part of the town. I've been covering him since he was an amateur, since he turned pro. I've never seen a guy who work out. Well, I'm gonna just say him and Earl Spence is the two guys.
Relentless.
Like, I've never seen any other guys work out like them. But this is my question right here for you, Bernard. You have a guy in Blair the Fleur, Cobbs, right? Salute the Blair the Fleur Cobbs.
I know him since in Philly as a little pup.
Hey, you know, we got much love for Blair the Fleur and what he came and did down here in August against a former world champion and Maurice Hooker. And let's be honest, he made it look easy. You got to give him his credit for that. You have a guy in Adrian Broner who fight fell out. He got dropped. Well, he said he left BLK Prime. He was just saying he looking for a fight. When I think Blair the Fleur Cobbs, when I think Adrian Broner, just the lead up to that fight.
I'll sign a contract tomorrow and support that fight because let me tell you, Cobbs and Broner, I think we could sell tickets for the press conference of that.
Hell yeah.
Because Broner can't help himself and he's still a live dog. And I say that out of respect. And Broner know how I feel about him. He's still a live dog. You cannot sleep on Broner, especially in this situation. What I mean by situation, he's hungry and he's backed up against the wall because he don't want to quit and they want him to quit, which means retire. And that fight, based on Cobbs being inactive and Cobbs' personality, and he's explosive, and you don't know what Cobbs is going to be explosive when he fights because he has that pizzazz. He has that skill set that you don't know when you don't know what you're going to see, and you really don't know the outcome, but you know that he's either going to get beat or he's going to beat you. So I love that thought of Broner, who did leave his promotional company 2 days ago. I seen the interview, and Cobbs, that Blair, the Flair, that be we just put it out there. So I mean, I'm coming behind second, but I'm gonna be the instigator. I'm gonna be that instigator, and I'd like to thank you for giving me some nuggets to play with because I'm gonna be that instigator now to be able to say, hey, you know, it's 3 hours difference back in West Coast. Hey, this is a good matchup, especially for both fighters right now. Cobb's got to get back on track and get in the public's eye like everybody else in that division. And also in this era, you have to be noticeable. You have to be loud and bold and cocky, but you must be able to prove it.
So hold up, JJ. So you putting out there that y'all will sign Adrian Broner to possibly make that fight?
Yes. I was not. I'm listen to me, because it's got to be clear, and I believe I was clear. I will sign Adrian Broner right now if he agreed. The deal is to his satisfaction to fight Blair Cobbs, and I believe Blair Cobbs, without even talking to him, is chopping at the bit to fight anybody, especially with a name. Absolutely. That's what we do. Those two names. If Adrian Broner believes he's not done, and that's what he's hearing, he has an opportunity with Blair, who's credible. I don't think any fan would be like, oh, I'm not watching that. I believe that we will get surprised if we bet against that fight not being to the point where people want to see it. That fight is a fight that people will be curious about who will win that fight and how Broner looks now based on still wanting to be in the game. And we know Blair.
No doubt.
Blair has evolved, but he also is an action, no bar type of fighter. He take risk, and so most of the times he come out on top. Sometimes he get bit by the rattlesnake. Let's talk about that Adrian Broner versus Blair Cobbs. I love that fight.
No,
and
it has.
Ben, thank you for being a matchmaker to the boxing world out there.
Yeah, you heard Mr. ILTBA. That's a hell of a point. That fight has everything we look for. You know, we saw Jake Paul and Tommy Fury on Sunday because of what they do on social media. And, you know, and salute to those guys. You know, I always say Jake Paul doesn't have to get in the ring. He can make millions doing other stuff. It takes a big set of cojones to sign up to fight. So I salute Jake for that. But you're talking somebody in Blair who he doesn't give a damn about a record. He wants to get in there. He wants to prove himself. The guy's a hard worker. He's a self-promoter. And then you got, on the other hand, Adrian Broner, who's trying to prove to the world that he's still here. We saw how much he looks good. He looks in shape.
Relevant. He's still relevant.
Absolutely.
An opportunity to show that. Blair the Fair. Listen, nobody been under my wing, even Rosado. In Philadelphia, they've been under Bernard Hopkins' wing. At Champ's gym, at Johan's gym. That ain't coming with kahunas to fight and to upset the apple cart. I made a career. I made millions off of that. Yep. Doubters. Making them believers as time go on. So I'm in position to give that opportunity. What goes around comes around in a positive way. I want to give him that. I want to give Blair the Flair that opportunity, and also Broner.
No doubt.
Also Broner, because first of all, I know he got something left, and I know he's fighting for a bigger means now. When you get backed up against the wall, whatever that situation is, anybody can relate to this. You ain't got to be a fighter. You want to be on your game and on your point because this might be your last time. That's why this fight will be tremendous. This fight will be absolutely good for not only this year, but by the summer, this fight should happen because both fighters stayed in the gym. Look how Broner looked the other day. He's ready to go.
Would you anticipate any trouble in getting that fight signed? Based on what, obviously, y'all got Blair, but based on conversations or what you've heard in the background?
The only thing that can stop that fight if we get another COVID shutdown. and that's not going to happen.
I know we talked about your career last time, but there was a couple of questions I forgot to ask you, Bernard. When they say the streets of Philadelphia is mean, like you actually showed that when you went to Puerto Rico, when you was fighting Felix Trinidad for a press conference, and you threw the flag down. What was going through your mind in that country after you threw that flag down, Bernard?
I'm going to beat his country, and then I'm going to beat him. I'm going to say that again. I'm going to beat him, but I'm going to beat his country. I'm going to beat his country first, and then I'm going to beat him. That was important. What I mean by that is, as I said it, why was it important? To beat his country first, it only takes one act of boldness. It only takes one spoon of courage. And it takes another spoon of, I don't give a fuck. And guess what? When you put all those ingredients together and do a little running to save your life, That fighter, no matter how great he is, that lives and trains in Puerto Rico, no matter who he fights, no matter how big the fight is, some person, somebody, some daughter, some son, some nephew, some niece, some aunt, uncle is going to remind him what was done to our beloved country and what was done to you. Now, that's a lot of stress. That's a lot of hitting the bag with anger. That's a lot of being reminded, get Diablo, get Diablo.
Get Diablo.
Kill him. They was calling me all that Diablo. So I said, okay, I got to act like the devil then. I got to be what they think I am, but I know who I am. So that made me now understand that I have to train hard, but I also have to train smart. I have to watch Oscar De La Hoya in the Trinidad fight and remember, if it's any close rounds, I had to remember that I wasn't going to get those close rounds. And it's not because Don King is promoter and Don King the promoter of the tournament, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And it's not because Trinidad is 10 plus years younger. And it's not just because we're in New York City, which love Bernard Hopkins and also love Tito, big community of Latinos and Latin people. So I said to myself, I got to really get ready for Trinidad even more than I got ready for any fight. And listen to what I'm saying. If you look at the first round to the 12th round, which he got knocked out, I never made one flaw mistake in that fight.
It was a perfect fight.
I'll tell you, not one thing in that fight that I can tell you I wish I would have done. With the win, even with the win, if I would have done this, I would have got him out early. No. That fight was scripted by Bowie Fischer, by Nazim Richardson. Both rest in peace.
Sir, R.I.P. both.
And they gave me what? They gave me the strategy. And also, we studied old and new history of fighters that fought similar like Tito and similar like the middleweights in the 80s, in the early 90s. And I mixed all those things together, as I call recipes, and you have the executioner. I didn't have to tear anything down for me. My heart came, my mind came, my IQ came, and guess what else came? All the other ingredients, and you seen and I'm going to use this word, because they said it's impossible to get anything in this world or do anything that's perfect. That was the most perfect performance I ever done in artwork.
Masterpiece.
That I've done in any of my fights ever in my career.
That was my next question. Was that when you look back, was that the perfect fight for you?
Yes.
No doubt. Hell of a fight, dog. And I'll never forget that. That was the first fight where I was like, shit, I didn't know, because we saw Tito look damn good against Joppy. And, you compare Tito against Joppy and then De La Hoya against Felix Sturm, which, were both the fights before you. Like, Tito looked damn good, and you shut the world up. You did what you did with the flag, and dog, I mean, that put B-Hop to that next level, man.
Yo, check this out. And listen, it's out there already, but let me tell you, this is going to tell you every fighter that's watching or listening to this interview is Spit Bucket. Bowie Fischer had Nazim in there rushing at me, and he had me basically one hand. Guess where the right hand was at? He had a tennis ball. If you look at the fight, when you get off the Zoom, Bowie Fischer told me to put the tennis ball.
Wow, man.
On this, look at my right hand. My right hand never left my right side of my cheek.
Wow.
I kept the right hand here. When the gloves was taken off in the dressing room, all this had lumps on there.
Wow.
He's from my wrist all the way to my back of my fist right here. And I boxed many rounds, basically one hand, because it was times I had to, and the ball fell a couple of times. But once I got used to not thinking about this, I didn't have to really use this until I knocked him out, if you look at it. With a counter right hand after he threw his right hand. And it was a step in, but a pullback, not back like this. It was a step in and a half a back, and it was all designed, and it went right past me. And that's when I knew to connect before he pulled it back. But that came from those 7 weeks. I never forget it, in Big Bear, California. And I had the tennis ball, and in the first 2 weeks, man, that ball, all right, another round. I got tired of doing extra damn rounds because every time that ball, one more round.
So I got one more question for you, and I know we're gonna take a quick break, and then we want to address what Bill, some of the in my opinion, classist comments Bill Haney made about you. It was, but we'll address that after the break. But this is the question I got for you. What's the reason that you and James Toney fight never happened?
Because James Toney understood that if that fight would have matured and took place, which I wanted to take place because James Toney, the best defense at that time, and also tough, and also would be someone that takes me to the level that I needed to be at. That fight was too dangerous to happen. Someone knew it. And I'm not saying that I would have came out there with no scratches. But I'll tell you for a fact, and I'll tell Tony at the Hall of Fame, because we both was there in that trilogy up in Canastone, New York. Upstate. I still tell him how to whoop his ass. And when he see this, he's going to get on there and tell you he would have whooped my ass. That fight broke down in negotiations. And that's another reason that fights of that magnitude, whether you believe that I was going to win or not, okay, you had that understanding. I had that understanding. I don't agree, but whatever. That fight's supposed to have happened based on history. And it didn't. And I'm not saying it was Jane's fault. I'm not saying it was my fault. We let others speak for us. Whether it was TV, whether it was promoters, and the fight didn't mature. And I don't even believe, to my knowledge, that it had anything to do with money. I think it has a lot to do with weight class, who was going to fight what. James Toney been out of middleweight division.
Yeah.
God knows when. This wasn't early, to my knowledge. So you can correct me if I'm wrong, when James Toney was fighting at 68.
Yeah.
Because we was talking about a catch weight, I believe, for that fight. And we made the cover.
Yeah.
Two of them. We made the ring cover, but it never matured after that.
How you think that fight would have played out as a boxing fan? Stepping back at middleweight, how would that fight, both y'all's peaks? Hell of a question, by the way, Corey. Snuck one up on me.
Man, listen, dog, let me tell you how that fight be. I think every fighter believes they're going to win. I'm no different. But I know I had to pay a big price to win. See, I'm not going to sit up here and play games. I'm going to call it ace and the ace and a spade. I just as well could have lost that fight, just as well I could have beat that fight.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. That's because I know where my heart is at. I know for a fact, I even think about going to Ecuador, fighting Segundo Mercado, and getting knocked down twice at 11,000 feet above sea level in Quito, Ecuador. And no only person that was my fan was the people that was with me. There was 5 people fighting the country. So I understand fighting James Toney with that mentality. James Toney is a real one. He's a real throwback type guy, mentally and at that time, his talent. That fight, I could have easily been ruined,
No doubt.
just like I could have easily ruined him. I know for a fact that would have been my biggest challenge in that moment of my career. It would have been my biggest and toughest challenge to pull that off.
No
and
doubt about it.
I'm keeping it 100.
No doubt, dog. And it's a shame it didn't happen, but I don't know that y'all had y'all's career.
But hold up. I beat his ass on Xbox though. No,
Oh, and speaking of that real quick.
I beat his ass on Xbox. I beat him up.
Speaking of that, shout out to my dog E Thriller, the Black Picasso. He wanted me to ask you this. Will you be on that new Undisputed boxing game?
No.
Is it? Can you give us the details and reasons why?
They got to level up on the greenery.
Enough said. Enough said.
They got to level up on the greenery.
Enough said.
Listen. Level up on the greenery. My image comes with work, and it comes with patience, and it comes with a lot of other stuff. You can't just give stuff away for free. And that's part of that stuff is me and my brand. So what is it doing for me? It ain't always about the money, but it has something to do with my legacy and my work. Why wouldn't I ask for part of the company? Why would I ask for part of the whole pie? See, right now, I can take a check anytime I've been offered 50 here, 100 there. I'm not pimping myself like that. I'm in position that I had set myself up years ago, and I'm not straying from that. I'm too late in the game for that. That is, live off the principle and live off the interest off the principle that I've set and laid down like the cement, like the tile that's under my feet right now. Without that, I'm going to keep falling. So I don't have to pimp myself, sell myself cheap to be able to be respected or live respectfully in a case of people or entities want my image, want my look and likeness. There's a price when you go to LeBron James and say, can you do this? There's a price. See, it was okay when I told people, oh, I do it. I get on there for free, just happy to be on there. It was okay.
Yeah.
But you get to a certain level and you start achieving things. Now, when I was here, I can deal with you. Now, when I elevate here a little bit, I still can have a conversation. But when you go here, and you reach there based on your work, based on your Hall of Fame status, based on your credibility, in your senses, in your knowledge, in your charisma, and everything else that makes you different after the sweet science have left you 30 years. And y'all supposed to give it to you because I'm happy to be asked. Would you do this? So they get their greenery up and ownership or partnership or some way where it become a legacy later. I'm interested in that kind of conversation right now. It ain't about a one-off. It ain't about a two-off. I have to think smart.
No doubt. You put into work. A lot of people will say, oh, these guys get to a certain level and then they forget about where they come. No, that's exactly why you got that value to yourself, because you don't forget about where you came from, where you remember the trenches when nobody had your back. So no, it is nothing about you people forgetting about where they come from. You have a worth. You have to charge. You have to get ownership, whatever the case. That's totally understandable. And
I mean, there's no crime asking.
No.
I've been told, you know what I mean? I've been told no many times. In a lot of ways. You understand? I want to take you out on a date. No. Okay. When I got the belts, I ain't have to ask that. Let me take you out on a date. So I understand the difference between then and now. And I think this is a lesson for everybody to hear us. Okay, it ain't just me. It's us that because y'all gonna speak for yourself. You already done that. But at the end of the day, it took 30 years out of the penitentiary. It took 30 years out of the penitentiary to not go back. And it took a lot of fighting for independence in my life, in my boxing life. And I was told by 99% of the people, some of them I love and respect and still do, that my dream was only a nightmare dream. And I made that not a nightmare, I made it a reality. And let me tell you, from that moment on, anyone, and I still hear it even in business, even in certain things that I'm thinking about or I'm watching to be involved, non-boxing business, and there's always going to be somebody to say, y'all know about it, Spit Bucket, when y'all was talking about doing this, this branding and doing this outlet for boxers and boxing period to be able to come and share their thoughts on Spit Bucket. Man, why you doing that? Oh man, that's that. Oh man, it's this. Because they are feared of failing. They expect to put fear in you and I. But when you look at that person and say, well, why would you say that? I'm bringing my thoughts to you. I feel I can talk to you. I want the truth, but you killing it from the gate.
Yeah.
You've been through this. Most people in the world been through it. You're going to continue to go through it as long as you continue to have a plan. You're going to have the plan killers based on what they think, because they are failures because they told themselves that, and now they want to pass it down to you, and you got to fight that off you.
Oh, yeah. Setting up limits, man. Well, listen, guys, we're going to take a quick break, but a 60-second break. In those 60 seconds, I encourage y'all to share this with as many people as possible, because last time we had Bernard on, he made some general comments that, in my opinion, I don't think there were anything wrong with those comments, but a certain trainer in Bill Haney took those comments and ran with them. He had some comments. I know Mr. Hopkins wants a response, so stay tuned after the break, and we will jump into what went down.
We all have battles. We fight. We train. We work. We persevere. And we celebrate. We are all one.
I can't do anything if I can't walk in my prosthetic. It's a lot of pain that I feel throughout my day. It can be very intense. Now I just put that balm over it and it will heal up much faster and it will let the callus recover. That's amazing. It is a total game changer. I am hooked. I'm just hooked.
Life is hard. KO makes it better. KOCBD.com.
Check it out, KOCBD.com. Pain relief, pain management, recovery, anxiety. Go to KOCBD.com. Use the discount code TSB10. Much salute to our friends over at KO Therapeutics. As we mentioned before we took a quick break, last time we had on B-Hop, Bernard, we'd asked you a little bit about the generational differences and the different mindsets, and you'd made some comments about how, times are just different. We just kind of have to accept them. We've got the clip here. Let me play the clip of what you said last time, so that way we catch everybody on who may have not really watched it. So here we are.
This generation. Now, you're absolutely 100%. They all guilty of this one. Every last one of them. I don't give a top to bottom. My side, their side, whoever's side. They not looking at history as something as important until it's over with, and they realize they dropped, as you say, the ball. Guess what? No, guess what? That's when the car that they got at that particular moment, the car that they had, the house that they had, whatever they get, after a while that becomes old. But history never becomes old. Think about it. They already moved on to something else like they already did to get where they at now. We all did. But one thing about history, time moves, but history doesn't change. It gets added on as those years of decades go by, and now you get to saying, oh, I had an opportunity. Now you become somebody's coulda, woulda, shoulda, coulda podcast. That's not in the spirit of most fighters. I'm not going to judge all of them, but I can tell you, when I say most, if you want a percentage, I say over 60% is not even thinking that way. And that's going to be regretful one day. I guarantee you, more than one of those fighters is going to regret that.
So, I mean, anything you want to add to? I mean, I think we would all agree to that. I mean, right?
Well, one thing for sure, I didn't hear it because it was off. But I didn't hear it as you was playing it. But listen, first of all, I don't need to hear it because I said it, and I did see it, but I couldn't hear the audio because of whatever.
Yeah.
You're in on my end. But let me tell you, let me address this real quickly and let it be what it be. Because first of all, just when I thought I was out of that mentality because I wasn't boxing or fighting anymore and I needed that for me, they pulled me right back in. So now that I'm in, I heard what he said. He didn't hear what I said, obviously, but I'm not going to even go and get into what he couldn't hear, didn't want to hear, or naive to hear. But one thing that he's going to hear is I want him to have that same energy when we cross paths. See, I'm not going to be one of those internet gangsters who want to express their feelings and their emotional tendencies to the world about how he feel about a person's statement, opinion, or how they really, really feel, the truth. So wherever way that he feels, obviously he took all those ways. When we see in each other, I don't want you to come up talking about, let me take a picture, let me get an autograph, or let me talk to you, B-Hop, and we just throwing promotion and we just throwing that. I learned a long time ago that if you move based on emotions, it normally is not a good outcome. So I'm not going to move recklessly as he talked. I want him to have that same energy because the boxing in the world is not all that big when you're moving around, and I moves around. And so I want him to keep that same energy.
So I want to say this real quick. It seemed like it's this pattern with Bill Haney. Like I said, I think Bill Haney has done a tremendous job with Devin Haney. We had a panel to come up with our trainer of the year, and unfortunately, he fell second. I picked him first, but he fell second to Derrick James. He stated that you're like Samuel L. Jackson from Django, right? And let me tell you the reason why I'm bringing it up. Because when I was stating that Teofimo Lopez was the man at the time, which was absolutely true, he told me I must be a black Mexican. So it seemed like it's this pattern with Bill Haney, if a black person has some critique or criticism, just say for his son, then it's his need to throw out racial type of slurs. What's your thoughts about that?
You catching the B-Hop? I think he froze up. I think he froze.
I see y'all. Kimmy.
Right. Hey, while because I think you're free.
I saw through y'all.
Are you there? All right. Did you hear?
I see y'all.
Okay, cool. It looks like maybe it's a little bit of internet something. Listen, so we can catch our audience up who may have not seen it. I'm gonna play the Haney clips because I think you're having some problem with the internet. So let's get the Haney clip playing, and then I'm sure you'll be back up here in a bit. We're gonna play the Haney comments. Haney responded on Fight Hype. Shout out to our friends at Fight Hype. Great channel. Here's what Haney had to say. Some of the highlights of what Haney had to say as a response to B-Hop's comments on our show.
And I really believe that Bernard Hopkins has lost touch with reality and what's real and what is his job to do. It's just really sad that Bernard Hopkins will have not good things to say about young kids like Devin that don't drink, don't smoke, eat right, make weight, that are world champions, that are similar to him, but I thought they were similar to him. But actually, Bernard is nothing like Devin. Devin is a better fighter than him, overall better person, better everything. And Bernard, when you were 23, you were in jail for being a cat burglar, a petty thief at 23. Dev ain't been to jail. He don't smoke, he don't drink, he don't do nothing. And he's an undisputed champion at 23. And you was in the penitentiary. So what do you mean guys aren't like you? You weren't even like you until after. And you became a world champion at 30 years old. So what are you talking about, bro? The man is Samuel Jackson from Django. You know what I mean? He had to fight. He won't tell the people, really, you had to fight. You had to get your money by being a part of the company. You got your money and stop. You didn't get your money and get paid and go on to start your own company. Champ. The man ain't nothing but like a greeter, like Joe Louis was at the Silver Slipper. You know what I mean? You a greeter for Golden Boy. You don't have no signing power. You ain't signed nobody. You ain't did nothing for our community but sit up and down people. That's all you do. Bernard, I wish they'd take the mic out of your face because you are not representing what it means to be a stand-up African-American dude that came out the penitentiary.
It looks like B-Hop fell off a little bit, so I'm sure he'll jump back on. He said he's gonna get back on, but hell, we got to hear Corey. That was a response to what B-Hop said. B-Hop wasn't targeting Devin. He wasn't targeting anything. He was just making a generational difference that we all know, and he took that.
And I want to make this clear, like me and Bill Haney, we squashed that.
Yeah,
it's our job as the media to bring these things up. We're not in the media to care about their feelings. When it's a story, we have to talk about these type of things. He did call me a black Mexican, and then the audacity of Bill Haney to call Bernard Hopkins Django, and then for him to also say his son is a better fighter than Bernard Hopkins. Last time I checked, ladies and gentlemen, Bernard Hopkins had 20 title defenses. He reigned as middleweight champion for a long time. He say Bernard Hopkins was in jail. Well, Bill Haney, you were in jail too. The difference is Bernard Hopkins actually got out of jail and he made a way from coming from the penitentiary to becoming undisputed to making it to the Hall of Fame. So we have to be fair and honest. I thought that was very classless of Bill Haney. I hope when he see this, he want to jump on with us because these questions need to be answered.
Okay.
It seems like when someone of color says some of critiques about his son, instead of, being fair about it and, coming, it's a different way he could have approached that. You call me a black Mexican, which is on record. Then you call Bernard Hopkins Django. I thought that was a totally classless move by Bill Haney. And we just have to do our job as the media and just keep it 100.
Exactly. I want to see Spence Crawford. I don't want to see Crawford versus nobody else, Mexican, whatever. That don't make me a Mexican black guy. It's a fight fan. I'm a fight fan. At that time, we all want to see T.O. versus. But anyway, we got B-Hop back. B-Hop is back again. B-Hop is back again.
You got
Can
me?
you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah, we can see you.
Yeah, you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
They can see you.
Okay. All right, good. You see me? See me right now, right?
Scoot it a little bit over to
That's what I
your
was trying
right.
to do. That's what I was trying to do. Right there?
A little bit more to the right.
To the right.
To your right. But we're only seeing the left side of your face.
Okay.
A little bit more.
There you go. That's good right
All
there.
right, that's good.
All right.
So,
So,
I don't know if you heard my question, right? Like respect to Bill Haney. We squashed what he said about me. But it seemed like it's a pattern, right? Because his son was, he had got the interim belt. They basically gave it to him, and he didn't fight for that belt, right? And at the time, Devin Haney was wanting the Teofimo Lopez or so fight. And I was like, well, Teofimo Lopez, he earned his fights and he should be able to, So basically, he called me a black Mexican, right? And I think it's a pattern when someone of color criticizes his son, not criticizing his character, just keeping it 100. And then the audacity of him to call you Django. And then another thing that really, really upset me, Bernard Hopkins, is when he said his son is a better fighter than you. A guy who's in the Hall of Fame already. Listen, we don't know what's going to happen in time. Anything can happen. Death, injury, anything. This is a guy who haven't even grasped and did what you did. I thought that was a real classist, and I thought that was real personal. What's your thoughts?
Well, I want to make a public address to the boxing world, the athletes, and the fans. Crack is not good for your brain.
it's a crack.
Listen, crack, fentanyl. Listen, between crack and fentanyl, let me tell you, it's first of all, kids out there, even some adults, but y'all kind of older now, y'all ain't gonna really listen to me. Don't indulge with things that mess with your brain and also your reality of what you're talking about is not reality. I heard the comments. If I didn't respond, then I think that people would say, hey, and I ain't too much concerned about that, but I'm only responding through Spit Bucket. I don't need an applause for that. I just need to understand that when you're talking to real people and they recognize that game and real recognize realness, I would say this about his paw. Living through his son, but he also done a great job with his son by keeping him out of the penitentiary, giving him great advice. I'm pretty sure he's a great dad to his son. I'm pretty sure his son can repeat the same thing on the greatness that I just said a dad. But one thing that his dad, and this is going to be a lesson for his son, so I'm speaking for two now of them. His classless and not knowing what he's talking about, but think he's talking about something that he know is not only stupid, but he came back none of those things up. He get to talking about Golden Boy's contract or deal with me, my business with Golden Boy. Then he got to talking like he know about my reputation and my respect, OG, in any penitentiary, let alone Greater Force State Penitentiary and Dallas Penitentiary in the PA system, which PA is bigger than Philly. Anybody don't know, PA is real big.
Yeah.
And third, you get to talking about things that his son, who's been given one of those titles, who's been given, without fighting, I never took a belt that was offered to me without blood, sweat, and tears behind it. But nevertheless, I want him to have the same energy. I don't want no hugs. I don't want no let's take a picture. I don't want none of that nonsense, because it's time for me to be not only the biggest instigator in boxing, but to call these chumps out, to call these lames out, to call these people that hide behind, whether it's their son or this person or that person, or hide behind power of influence of others to do their dirty work, to try to get under my skin. When it comes to this here, what got me through a lot of patience and planning and then striking, not off emotions. See, when I got emotional at one time in my life, I wound up doing 5 to 15 years and walking off the rest of the 8-9 years on parole, and lost my first fight and became a Hall of Famer. So when a lame talks about a person that his son probably got me on his wall, where his son probably, as he mentioned, correct me if I'm wrong, respect and honor Bernard, man, we thought he was, because I'm representing not only us as brown and black people, but I'm representing fighters of all walks of life. Whether you can fight, whether you can't, at the end of the day, if you're black, you're white, or any other color, I'm going to embrace you because your work ethics and this is what you want to do, and you earned my respect for a Hall of Famer to embrace all walks of life and been consistent with it over the years. And this lame thinks he can go ahead and get some viewerships on his Instagram or whatever. He looks like a fool. But here's a guy, as he spoke, want to throw the black card out. He wants to throw the black card out to make it seem like it's black on black crime. Nah, Negro. You are Samuel Jackson. Matter of fact, you Chicken George, Stephen Fletcher, you all those people. Bo Jingles, he's all those people under disguise of the bush and the glasses. I already know he's a fraud. But at the end of the day, when we see each other, have that same energy. And if you don't, I'm going to make sure that everybody know that you didn't have that energy. Take it like that. They gonna see it. Somebody gonna tell them. See, because one thing about me, I think that anybody that like me or dislike will say, if he says something, he's going to do it. And that's going to be, well, what is it? When he see me and I see him, he's going to have that same energy because he's going to be forced to have it. See, one thing that I realize in life, when somebody says something and you approach them with the same language that they have mentioned, so they don't try to back out of it and have that amnesia. We going to make sure, when I say we going to make sure, him and I, that same energy going to be there, and it won't be no hugs. I'm telling you. It won't be no hugs and love and all that. We're not doing that. And I'm not giving you a picture taken and doing all that, pinning up the deuces. We're not doing that.
Has it always
So at the end of the day, I know who I am. He better know who he is. And that's the credibility part. I'm saying this live. We talking. This is the credibility part. If you are who you say you are, and I'm not doing no boxing match. I'm done. I'm retired. I'm happily retired. Don't have an itch. Don't have none of that. But just have the same energy.
Are y'all going to be? Have y'all talked at all since
the last time I talked to, had a conversation with him was he was begging me for a fight in Golden Boy. He haven't won a title. Neither person he wanted to fight, even at our stable, Golden Boy, he didn't do anything to have that fight. And the buildup wasn't there for Ryan Garcia at that time and anybody else in that weight class at that time. And the buildup for him, his son wasn't built up at that time. But listen what I said then and listen what's happening now. His son is now considered the undisputed, correct?
Yeah.
Ryan is considered where he's at before and even after Tank fight, correct?
Yeah.
So what better time after April to see who wins that super fight to call out either one of those guys? I'm telling him this is your chance now, but you got to have a little waiting time because you had to do what you have to do to build your credibility up. He had to do what he had to do to build his credibility up. At that time, your two prospects looked at as sort of semi-suspects, and now you're not that anymore. You're at the second level of greatness, so let's now do this fight. But the idiot, the emotional father, the dad, oh, Bernard, that's the son. Nah, that's like being a drunk driver. Drinking and driving don't mix. A father like that type of father, is a guy that's driving after drinking. That's dangerous. That's dangerous for his son, and that's also danger for him because he's going to have to deal with that. And that's the lesson tonight that I'm giving everybody with that mentality, because I come from that ignorance. And I understand now, clearer than before, that I don't have to be an internet gangster. See, this thing right here is something that is dangerous. It got a lot of people indicted. You have to understand now that if you're going to say something, be a man and say it to that man's face.
Yep.
Don't have a wedge in between you. And some might say, well, you talking now. I'm saying he better understand what I said. I'm no sneak attack guy. I'll let you know what I'm going to do. You remember? I'll put the flag down.
Because I feel like
I'll put the flag down in Puerto Rico and they didn't give a damn. I did other things in front of people in their face and they couldn't answer the call. So just when I thought I was out, here I come back again. They pulling me back in. I tried to be nice, tried to go ahead and articulate my words even better, try to be the promoter as I am, try to create a buzz, try to understand that my role and my energy and my personality fits like a glove in this second half of my life and career. And this Negro who don't understand because he's totally ignorant and lost wants to go ahead and get some likes. He want to get some likes. He's playing a kid game in a man's business. Now he want me to go ahead and be the dog I am. I just don't want to get scratched in the process. Fighting the cat. I just don't want to get scratched in the progress. I just don't want to get scratched in the process. I really don't. But it got to be dealt with. It's just in my nature. I just can't help myself. It got to be dealt with.
Yeah, because I feel like he made it personal. It's just two-part. I feel like he made it personal because he called you a chump. And this is another thing that I didn't get off what Bill said. He said, you went to the penitentiary. Well, I'm like, you went to the penitentiary too. But he didn't mean, like, you went to the penitentiary, got out of the penitentiary, did the unprecedented at 25 years old, and became undisputed world champion with 20 title defenses. Like, that bothered me when he said that. What was your thoughts when you heard that part of what he was saying?
Crack cocaine. I grew up in North Philly. I seen drugs. I seen people needles in their ankles, in their neck. I know when somebody's on crack. I'm telling you seriously. He got to be on something as potent as crack. That's sort of thing. And I thought crack was out. They got fentanyl now and all that stuff. But crack made a return, y'all. Crack had made a comeback. This Negro is on crack. Seriously, 8 ball a day. He's on an 8 ball a day habit.
Hey.
Listen, you got to be on something if you don't know my resume. And put it this way. Anybody that's looking at this and hearing this or see it later or whatever, this put what I said on the side about how I feel.
Yeah.
This ain't a feelings type of interview. This is a reality of the truth. When you say something about a person, a athlete, or a businessman, you have to at least acknowledge whether you disagree or what they said, what they've done, they named in history. You got people that say that Michael Jordan wasn't as great as people promote him. That's craziness to me. So when you say things that others question why did he say it, doesn't make sense. It really tells you the whole story in a nutshell. But let me tell you again, kids, say no to drugs. It ruins you. It ruins you.
Do you think, I'll take it a little bit back to boxing. You think this little rift, this little back and forth, this, whatever the hell you want to call this, last thing we wanted to do is
it ain't gonna be back and forth with me.
Yeah, and that's respectable, man.
This is the first interview, seriously.
Yeah, and
that I've done speaking about him, but not that this was sprung on me, because we talked about this interview and I was comfortable of addressing it on a spit bucket, a Zoom call. So by no means I'm shying away from this, but I think once you make, and this is where I come from, this with the older G's, even on D block, E block, C block, and even the ones that came home from doing 40-something years from a juvenile homicide that's hit the streets in 2023 after 40+ something years. Let me tell you, when you do say something, which is a rarely thing, it's nothing else need to be said. Your work speaks for itself. And every now and then, not a lot, you're going to get those moments where you have to prove that you are who you are and not who you was. See, I stay in shape for a lot of reasons. A, for my family. No, for myself first and then family. Third, I'm kind of cautious about what I spend and how I spend. I don't consider myself cheap, but I like to stay in my suits. So that keeps my weight down because I'm conscious of, I love the suit. If I don't keep my weight down, I got to buy another one. So I save.
Yeah.
I don't have, you understand? I don't have to keep buying suits based on my weight going up. That's something that I always, it's like 20 years of that thinking, right? But I'm not going to let anybody distract me from what I've done, what I've continued to do, and what I'm not ashamed of. Yes, I am part of, which we didn't speak of, I am part of a promotional company that is owned by Oscar De La Hoya, who is Mexican. I would say over 80% of the fighters at Golden Boy are Mexican. There are also other groups of people that's not Mexican that's with Golden Boy. This is not the first time I heard that Golden Boy doesn't sign black fighters, doesn't sign anybody, doesn't look out for nobody. Bernard don't have no juice. Bernard can't sign nobody. I got so many calls. One from Franchon Cruz, who's now undisputed. She'll be back with us very soon, working on it as we speak. Yes, Franchon Cruz, undisputed.
Yep.
She went to get the other belt, and now she coming back home.
Yeah.
I will be talking to Spit Bucket about that with her on the Zoom call.
Let's do it.
And second, and third, but not least, but let's do a second, that he can't sign nobody. I heard that, sir. Y'all know I heard that. He can't do this. I do a lot of things like this. There's over 24 fighters that I influenced or bought to Golden Boy to sign that I ain't had to brag about it. Also, who I love because his spirit and his, I would say, sort of control arrogance of who he is, and I'm talking about Kid Austin.
Yep, I knew that was coming.
Hold up. Oscar, in a nice way, sort of reached out and stalked him on his internet or Instagram, excuse me, and got his attention because he didn't know, was it really him or somebody playing? And then I backed it up based on what? My opinion. Let's get him, let's sign him. Gave him a signing bonus. I did. Told his dad said it on social media. I bought my son a number because he's 2 Hall of Famers. He didn't bring him because of that color, this color, that color. Everybody that they went to wanted to sign him. Nobody told him no. But he chose us. He chose Golden Boy. That there speaks volume. And a lot of that had to do not only with the promotional company, but it has something to do with the 2 Hall of Famers that represented, because they know how you gonna look past 2 people that your son can learn from. That hasn't been done in boxing, and no other promotional company has that leverage and have that type of influence to have 2 active promoters that are Hall of Famers that converted to business in a business that's normally ran by guys with suits and ties on with a law license that they don't even use.
Facts.
So let me tell you something about this. When I heard those statements, and this ain't the first time that people try to implicate or insinuate or sneak and talk, not in my face though. They always coming from somewhere else, but they never said in my face. And then they want to discredit you and make you feel you ain't black enough. So everybody that talks that talk about blackness, what is your definition of being black other than I'm black in skin? Is it because I ain't talking a certain way? I need to know and identify your blackness and your blackness credibility of what makes you black other than being black. What behavior do I need to show you that I'm black? What do I need to do to show you I'm black? We all know where that make you wind up being or not. I look for not only talent when I approach or see somebody that I believe have a great work ethics and talent and a good team around them, because they need their own separate team and comfortability, and then sign that particular woman or man. So when I hear, not often, this new ignorance, but not new to me, but new coming out of Bill's mouth, that I don't have to be out of character to please people. I know who I am. I know what I stand for, and I know I am a hard sell, because I don't sign fighters because they black. I sign fighters because they're not only talented, but they have something that maybe the next guy don't have or everybody don't have. I don't sign anybody, woman or man, based and predicated because they black. You know, I get black death every day about something, whether it's boxing or non-boxing. Why I should sign them, why I should do this, or why I should do that. If I'm controlled about doing things based on color and that's it, I will get my heart broken many times. Because I understand that we normally our worst enemy. And that's why everybody else around us watch us do what we do, as decades have proven. And then what's left, they go ahead, either buy you or they go ahead and get rid of the remains that's left.
Yeah.
So what I, and last but not least, what I would say is this: just because I'm not signing just to sign. Golden Boy never said in my 20-something years of partnership, Bernard, are you sure you want to sign this guy? Never said no when it comes to signing a fighter. Never said no if I bring him, like the old commercial E.F. Hutton, when I speak, they listen. Because they know I don't have a track record of bringing Hiker. Well, who you got now? When you start wearing your people out, whether it's business people, lawyers, assault accountants, whatever, you start wearing them out with this, you might be coming with legit stuff. Here he come again, here he come. That's not me. I'm conscious of that. So I look for talent, not color. If he looks like me and she looks like me, skin-wise, and she can fight, and everything else is blessings, personality, promotable. What are we talking about? This is a business, man. These people, listen, these small-minded people, and that small-minded people want you to get wrapped up in the emotions and try to throw the black card out. I'm going to throw it back at you and tell you the man in the mirror. Pit on Michael Jackson. Pit on Michael Jackson, Negro, and tell me who's Samuel Jackson.
Oh yeah.
And Bernard, this is what's kind of strange about this whole situation. Because when I look at you and Devin, business-wise, kind of similar. Fighting-wise, no, but business-wise, kind of similar. Because you is the same guy who had to fight your way to prominence. Devin Haney was the guy who was trying to get all the fights that he did, and he had to fight his way to prominence just like you did. So it baffles me when y'all sort of got a similar story that he criticized you in any type of way. And like you stated earlier, this is a business. This ain't the black championship of the world, the Hispanic championship of the world.
No. You know what Negroes want that thinks like that? A hookup. Man, can you hook me up, man? I want to fight Gus. Don't come to me like that. They want the hookup conversation. Man, can you hook me up in here? You know the dollar party. I ain't got $1. Snap. Open the back door. I can go in the back door. like this is the type of situation we stuck, man. When they continue. I mean, can you imagine you raising the son off that nonsense? But this generation is different. Let's go back to what I said.
There it is.
Days ago. This generation is different. That's because of my dad. I'm a respect, but guess what? Don't be surprised with some of them dads out there understand that. I really don't agree with that, but I don't want to get no. I gotta rock with my dad. I'm not saying he rocking with me, but I'm just trying to tell you that his thinking and the generation now, the ginsings and the it ain't the millennial, the ginsings or ginseng or whatever. My nieces and they put me down with all this. I don't know. They got names for them now. They got titles. I don't know. I don't, want to call about it.
Yeah, it's Gen Z.
Ah, exactly.
Yeah, it is.
I got 14 nieces and nephews, and they from 11 to 18. I got 4 sisters. They all dropped probably a dozen apiece. But anyway, let me tell you, they keep me down on game. And so when I asked them about stuff, who said that? This mean this mean that. Hey, this mean that. So I already know what it is. So now that I've been put down by this energy of generation, I can be able to now have a conversation and not be out of touch with this reality. He's not in reality, man.
No, nobody. I haven't. Obviously, you hear the rumors about Golden Boy, Favor, and Mexican, all that. Listen, we've spent a lot of time with Kid Austin and Floyd Schofield, the Pops, and we brought this up. We know 2 things to be true. Y'all weren't the only ones that wanted to sign Kid Austin. Everybody did. And the second thing, he's black, and y'all signed him. And I've heard nothing but great feedback from both Kid Austin and his pops and whole damn team. So that just debunks it. This isn't just B-Hop saying, oh no, like this isn't just your perspective. We've seen it with our own 2 eyes. We've heard it. So I wanted to start off with that.
Hey, Blair the Flair. Who think I bought Blair? Blair came with his manager Malik, who y'all both know. I mean, Blair the Flair came under my wing.
Hold up, I got another one for you.
Rosado, who's ready to fight. Rosado, who had multiple chances to a title, who's fighting Zotto soon. Guess where he came from? Under my wing, and he's Puerto Rican. So when you hear this nonsense, when you hear this crackhead start talking stuff like that, you got to scratch your head and say, wait a minute. He don't help nobody. He don't sign no fighters. He don't even help his community. He's a Bojang. He's a Samuel Jackson. And what are you talking about? What you're saying don't match up what we know and what we're seeing. So he got emotional, but he don't get a pass from me. I say it live, he don't get a pass from me.
Will this affect business down the road? Y'all got Ryan, y'all got Kid Austin. One is now, one is the future. Obviously, Haney's got the belts. Could something like this affect a potential fight with, something a lot of people would want to see?
It's not towards the fighters.
So we want to
the
hear.
Fighters must do what? Secure their legacy and their family. I would never interfere with any fighter that has to do those things that was important to me. You don't mix your truth or emotions to agree to disagree with the sweet science of fighters and boxers and future Hall of Famers. I'm not robbing them out of that. I don't want to be, Allah bless me. Allah bless me to go through everything I went through. I'm not going to be those who I despise and do the same thing.
I love it, man.
So we can have any fight in the near future, which means this year and definitely 24, because it's a loaded year. It will be loaded. It ain't loaded yet, but it will be. I'm claiming it now. But he's in the talks. He's in the mix because he proved himself being undisputed, whether he was handed the belt or not. He has that title, and young fighters want to get that as an identification, who they are and what they represent. And so he got his pass by actually winning some of those belts and given by default. Let's not forget to become the undisputed. So when you throw that out there, nobody gave me nothing. If they did, I would give it back because I've been too paranoid. There's something wrong with it. You ain't giving me no belt. You ain't giving me no belt.
Yeah.
And I'm not giving it to you to give it to somebody else because I put work in to get that. I'll put that work in. And I put that work in before boxing that I'm not glorifying, but it's part of my story that will be shown very, very, very soon of my life. I put work in out there and I put work in that ring. I had 2 lives. I put that work in out there in society with the mentality of ignorance, and I put that work in the ring just as much as I was disciplined out there. I shouldn't have been able to do what I've done in the second half of my life. That is a testimony in the story itself. So anybody that tries to implicate anything else, I must speak and challenge it, but I would not get into a dog-cat fight, and I'm the dog, and the cat I'm fighting with ain't gonna scratch me.
I want to say one more follow-up thing. Because again, man, you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful, but people take words out of context and stuff like this. I've got respect for Bill. I got respect for Devin. I've got no neck. I took that and I was confused why he was saying that. But one thing I want to say, B-Hop, he mentioned that you're not a good example of what an African American man should be. Let me tell you
what that mean.
Let me tell you what my perspective is. I'm a Hispanic.
Explain to me what that means.
Well, I want to tell you what I do. You're a hell of an example of what a man should be, not any one color. If I had my son right over here, I would say, look, son, B-Hop went to prison. That's every excuse to just throw your life away. Look where you're sitting now. That is an excellent, excellent, excellent example of what a man should be.
Right behind this.
There it is. Those belts are just indicators of what you did, man. And yeah, there it is. So it has nothing to do with you being an African-American man. You're a hell of a man. Yeah, you made your mistakes. And you're leaving a legacy, dude. So from a perspective of a non-African-American, I want to say you can leave that part out of the sentence. what you've done in your career is a hell of a testament to manhood and what we're supposed to be, because we're going to make mistakes. I am, my son is, his son will, all of us will. Look what you did after you made those mistakes. And anybody who argues against that, to me, that is when you're out of touch. That's what makes you out of touch. That's my perspective.
Well, a lot of it, you got to understand this too. What have he done?
Raise the son.
Listen, ho. Good point. And that's being neutral. I believe you are. Some probably people out there, you will find somebody going to say no. But I believe that's a neutral statement. But it's towards me, obviously, I understand. But what have he done?
No doubt.
So, jealousy, envy, we put those two together and then look at his misfortunes or his lack of energy to be whatever he wanted to do. I'm not talking about boxing. Whatever he thought, I believe, in one life, and in some time in his life, he probably thought he can do something.
Yeah.
And guess what? If he says, yes, my son is a champion and it's a trainer, then I'm going to say, then your son won't be champion too long. Because you don't fit on the Hall of Fame as a, to me, if it's based and predicated that you are the guy that know the sweet science as a teacher, then you are a bigger fool than I thought. So I know that ain't the case, because a guy like that will one day soon say he's the greatest trainer in boxing right now. He can't help himself. See, when you have the lack of motivation to become who you wanted to be, whatever that was,
oh man,
and you weren't even good at being second, so you chose the third best option, is to be able to look at film and tape and say, do this and do that, and you call yourself a teacher. You're not a teacher. You're a trainer. I can go to LA Fitness and find one of them niggas. I can go to LA Fitness and find one of them Negroes, or Planet Hollywood. I'm giving all these people a commercial, so make sure we get that check later. But listen, you can find them guys at any other fitness center and find guys like that think they know everything about the sweet side. I hear them. They guys, I know the guys. I just laugh and joke. Y'all can't be no trainer.
No, be up.
Y'all can be a trainer, but they're not teachers.
No.
He's a trainer, not a teacher.
That's a hell of a point that you just made. You know, like when you put your mind to it, when you got out, we see the resume. We don't know what Bill did, and I think that's fair. You know, Bill came out here throwing shots. He should be able to take these shots back. But on a brighter note, let's talk about Zurdo Ramirez versus your guy, your Philadelphia hometown guy, in Gabe Rosado. Zurdo coming off his first loss. Rosado being the warrior that he is with that Philadelphia mentality. It's like y'all pride when it comes to boxing on a bigger level. Like y'all don't know how to lose and just got the fight in you. I think this is a big time matchup right here.
It's going to be,
and I could see either side winning this fight. But I just wonder how Zurdo gonna react, because Bernard, you've been a guy who's been down this road. You done lost fights before, but you have to come back in them fights, and most people, the way you react, they're not going to react like that. Gabe Rosado done been in that position where he done lost fights. He done came back. So he know about this moment. How do you think Zurdo Ramirez will handle this moment?
Well, you're going to have balls to the ground type of mentality. I'll say it again. You're going to have balls to the ground mentality. See, Gabe, for whatever it's worth, is going to make sure he showed the world that's going to be watching whether Zurdo left everything in that last big fight for a championship. And mentally, that's where he's going to stay. When I look at this fight with Soto and Rosado, even though we believe there's not too many, if not this is the last one, he want to prove that he still have a few more. And listen, not only do he have the fill up your heart and the never give up and never die attitude, we've seen that. We know it's going to be action no matter what happens, no matter what the outcome comes. This is more what Soto do than more what we expect from Rosado. Rosado going to be Rosado.
No doubt.
Rosado's going to come. He's either going to, he learned how to move a little bit now in box because he's been doing that, but he's been that gladiator, that sort of Rocky mentality of Philadelphia, just come right at you and slug it out. Freddie Roach is doing a great job with him since he took over the tutelage of guiding him through as a teacher. Is Soto favored? Is Soto supposed to win this fight? Absolutely. But one thing about Rosado, and I'm not talking about just in one fight. We've seen him lose a fight, but make the guy that's the prospect look bad.
Yes, sir.
And we've seen close fights where I thought he was going to get wiped out. He getting the payday. At least he got the payday. He's gone. And he wound up setting himself up for another fight based on not winning that fight.
Yeah.
Rosado is unpredictable. That should be his name coming in the ring.
No doubt.
His name, his ring name should be in between his name. Unpredictable. Because you never know what Rosado or Gabe is going to be like, do, and how he's going to execute. So I'll say it like this. Soto is always going to be dangerous, but I'm looking for more from him than Rosado. Gabe is going to be Gabe. I'm not looking for anything new from Gabe. I'm not looking for anything special. I'm looking for heart. I'm looking for don't give up attitude. Still want to stay in the game and fight, whether 1 or 2 more fights or 3, or who knows. He knows he got 1 fight away from not being called to fight anybody else anymore. That could be another incentive for him to go out guns blazing, which makes all of us happy because we know Soto has to prove something right now. Soto's career is on the line.
No
I
doubt.
don't mean by what happens in the fight.
Yeah.
I'm talking about he has to make a statement. He has to knock Rosado out.
Yeah.
Early than late. Because we need to say he learned from that fight. He learned from that L. And it ain't going to be Rosado, and now he's back in contention for a rematch because nobody wants to see that. It was not really one-sided. But the build-up and the lesson, not a loss. Yeah, on his record it's a loss, but it's more of a lesson. And that's what I told Soto at the last fight when he sat next to me. Don't look at it as a loss. Look at it as a lesson.
Yeah,
He
man.
nodded, I nodded. That's what that is. It's there. Don't get me wrong. This is not no illusional thing. It's there. You pull your record up, it's there. But if you look at it as a lesson, how I felt to lose, how I felt not to be the way you know you can be, or even outmatched, and it wasn't your time. Make it your time. A loss is a loss, but this is a lesson. It's the way you take it, the way you react in the gym, in sparring, your mentality, when you're running, when you're eating, when you're sleeping, when you wake up. You have to believe this every second and minute and hour of the day and work towards that.
Look, we know that Rosado you see guys at his point in their career, and it's like I'm signing up for a payday, and it's blatantly obvious in the ring. That's not who Rosado is. Is a guy who just signs up for a payday.
Pride. That's pride of Philadelphia.
All pride.
That's pride of Philadelphia.
Yeah. So we saw Zurdo take his first defeat. I'm not gonna say loss. I actually learned that from you last time I saw you in person. His first defeat. A lot of people will take an easy gimme fight. This is, on paper, Zurdo's supposed to win this, supposed to be easy. It has a potential to be dangerous for Zurdo. Like it could get bloody. It could get bad. Rosado's not going to go down easily. So I know you said you're looking for a quick knock. You want to see an early knockout. You want to see a dominant statement from Zurdo Ramirez. But are we talking about throwing him back in there with Bivol or better be if whoever comes out for that? What's the game plan after that?
What I want to see from, be clear, on Zurdo and Rosado. Zurdo is the favorite, obviously, because Rosado never been a favorite in any fight that I remember, and he been to 8 camps. Gabe Rosado been in 8, 9, maybe 10 camps with me in my middleweight era. Zurdo win this fight, he went to win it by being different than he was when he was fighting for the world championship. I'm going to say that again. For Zurdo to win this fight, he's going to have to be different than the fighter he was when he fought for the world, attempted to win the world championship months back. Gabe is going to be Gabe. I don't know for anything different, anything up or anything down. I'm going to look for Gabe to go in there with the punch that he looking to land, either left or right hand. He knows that this could be the last one, by no doubt. Zurdo have to win big, and I'm going to repeat that this way, the same way I believe I repeated it the first time. Zurdo, on paper, clearly the favorite by any odds makers out there. But Zurdo will not only have to win, he's going to have to win spectacular. He's going to have to make a statement. And then most people will say that with Rosado, let him take the next step up. That is coming. This fight is a fight that's dangerous, but also is a telltale sign of where Zurdo's mind is at. His ability to be able to do what hasn't been done to Rosado in the early rounds by anybody else. That's what I mean by the statement. This fight is a statement fight that I'm mentally and physically back.
Yeah.
And then you move forward to not building you up. I don't think you need that. That's a waste of time. If he gets past Rosado and flying spectacular colors and get a stoppage, which I think is the only thing that can get our attention in the fight fans. They say he's ready. 1 or 2 more shots to go back in there in this weight division and finish up what he didn't accomplish the first attempt. That to me is gangster. That to me is gangster. Zurdo don't need to be babysitted.
Yeah.
You see, he got the talent. He took his lumps and also the lesson. And now he get a chance to go out and blow some dust off with a live dog that he can't sleep on. We've seen that mistake happen by other fighters when it comes to Gabe Rosado. I'm excited and can't wait. That'll be the next fight for me to leave out for my city to go and do that fight in a few weeks. That's important fight for both fighters. Whether Gabe exit out and the gig is up, or Zurdo say, listen, y'all, I heard B-Hop. It's a lesson. I learned from it, and I'm stopping, and I'm going to be spectacular when I fight, and whoever I fight, I'm going to win. And that's what Zotto need going forward. And Gabe need to fight for relevancy. I'm still relevant. I still want to be relevant. Prove it. I'm calling out both of them. I spoke to both of them. Prove it.
Yeah.
So, Bernard, I got one more question for you and JJ too. Let me get my last question in for you. This is a debate heavy on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm talking about you and your career and Floyd Mayweather career. I have a lot of people who tell me Bernard had the better career. I have a lot of people tell me Floyd had the better career. Would you consider that you had a better career than Floyd?
I would say I had a career. I think I had a career where I had to define certain things that other fighters didn't have to. But I believe everybody had a career and things that they had to overcome in their career. I think that my career, matter of fact, I know my career was mapped out based on what I would settle for, what I would compromise for, and what I wouldn't compromise for. And I think that everybody has a little piece of that that they can relate to in their own life. But let's not get it messed up when it comes to Floyd Mayweather. And I've said this to most people that understood this. Floyd Mayweather in his era did what most fighters didn't do, and that accomplished being undefeated. You can talk about who he did fight, who he didn't fight, and all that. At the end of the day, his record speaks for itself. Then, on top of that, in my era, and some will argue even in this era, the most highest paid. You got to respect that, even if it's a respect far as calling an ace a spade, and the truth. When it comes to in that ring and getting the knowledge from his father, his uncle, God rest his soul, Roger, you have to not let anything else interfere with reality because it is what it is. Floyd Mayweather represented his era the way you're supposed to represent his era. And not only that, he got paid handsomely. He got paid handsomely because of that. One thing for sure about Bernard Hopkins, I would say what I feel, not what my emotions feel. There are things or fights I would have loved to have seen Mayweather fight at that particular time that didn't happen, of course. But even in that thinking, we don't know what would have happened or if anything would have happened.
No doubt.
So one thing that I have done is worry about my life more than anybody else's. We had different travels to get to that spot called the top, the best, and then the Hall of Fame. Most of us don't get that. Mm-hmm. There are fighters in history all the way up to now, and they got belts and had belts that never got in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
You don't get in the Hall of Fame based on winning a world belt because there's so many out there, correct?
No doubt. 100%.
Okay. When you look at the economics, you look at the talent, you look at the marketing machine, and you look at the people that surround that particular person, because it doesn't happen based and predicated on one person and making it happen. But the person that got to go in there and physically fight and physically, mentally get through all those chances that you take on your life and on your record in your career. You gotta, I might not like that person. That person might not like me. And that's not saying that I don't like Floyd, I don't like this person, I like that person. But if that's the case, and I'm with that too, I gotta call it what it is. I gotta respect what it is because that's what I want for me. That doesn't mean everybody gonna give it to you. We witnessed that talking 2-3 hours ago. But at the same token, I know what it takes to be in that ring. I know what it takes to sacrifice time from your family.
Yep.
Important things that happen while you're in camp and training that you can't be there to give your respects in good and sad ways. I know what it takes where others say that you have no chance and you make a chance for yourself. When you understand that in maturity, you cannot boastfully say that that man didn't earn what he got and didn't earn the record that he had. Whether you went this way to get it, that way to get it, this way to get it, one thing for sure, he's no J. Paul.
No doubt.
And I'm not a J. Paul either. And I think that he did good his last fight, even though we ain't talking about that. But that was my last thing to throw in there, that it's real what we do.
Yeah.
And what we just seen the other night was a good effort and a good showing the people you're willing to try the sweet science and now really understanding that it ain't as easy as we think it is, that don't actually sit there and do it. And that's a wake-up call for all of us, y'all, for real. I mean, when I say all of us, I'm talking about all of us that's now on the other side, whether we ever been on that side, that we on the other side as announcers, reporters, critics, this or that. At the end of the day, it really takes a whole lot other than preparing to mentally get ready to go in there realizing you might not be the same person
1,000%, dog.
That went in, Gerald McCullum.
Yeah, no, how about that? Yeah, the Gerald McClellan, man.
So let me keep it 100. At the end of the day, the way you go in that ring doesn't mean you're gonna come out that way. Just off that alone, how many people go to work and don't risk their life?
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. I'm gonna stop it with this again. Because in case it got lost. How many people that go to work in this world that can say every time they go to work, there's a lot, pretty sure, that they risk their life or their health or their well-being or be able to change their own diaper because they can't, somebody else got to do it. When we step in that ring, these things are possible.
Thanks, man.
I have to, you could be the most untouched person in the world that don't understand that. Then you're a person that's unteachable.
Yeah. Now listen, on the Gerald thing, real quick, man, that's close to our heart. We're working on a foundation. We're building it out called the TSB Warrior Foundation. And Gerald McClellan is the guy, the reason. Where we're getting 10% of everything we do. We want to kick it back to folks like him, Pritchard Cologne, and their families. So that's close to our heart. And I just wanted to mention that, dude, because we cover the names, we cover the amateurs, but we also want to take a second and respect the ones that didn't make it out the way a lot of, it's a dangerous sport, man, and we don't ever forget that. But I know we're running late on time, and I had one more question, B-Hop, and it's a question that we were talking about last time, but I interrupted you, and my father-in-law was like, damn it, I wanted to hear what he had to say. So I'm trying to make the father-in-law happy.
Okay.
You started to talk about the difference in Roy Jones and Oscar De La Hoya's speed. Both of those guys are lightning fast, but completely different types of speed. So if you've been in the ring with both of them, what's that feel like, and what'd you experience?
Roy Jones had power behind his speed. And when that speed and that power connects, there's a reaction. In 1993, I felt that reaction. In 1993, in Washington, D.C., at the Redskins Stadium, or as they say now, new name,
Commanders.
I knew that this was something different. I told Roy on the bus at the Hall of Fame, we were on the bus together. It went viral. It's out there. Y'all can find it. I knew there was something different, that I had to be careful, and being careful had me more on the defensive side, more on the offensive side. And these are one of the attributes Roy Jones is great at. Speed and power is always dangerous. Oscar has speed, but moving up to my weight class, let's not forget, fighting a big middleweight that I've been embedded into the 160-pound division for 12 years. They was more like stings than more of a quick, sharp, like you can't get hit with these shots multiple times or it's going to be over.
Yeah.
That's what type, no, seriously. Yeah. That's what type of speed with power that Roy Jones had. And I told him this. We on the bus, we in the back, laughing and joking. I said, listen, that left hook that he can throw from one side of the street to the next side of the street at any big city, small city area and not pay a price because he got back to the spot he jumped from before you reacted. With power, that's the difference between Roy Jones Jr. and any other fighter, including Oscar, power when I fought them in the ring. Oscar was quick, but he wasn't a big puncher, especially not in my division, not in the middleweight division.
Well, hey, Bernard, man, we definitely appreciate you coming on here and gracing the spit bucket. Man, you are an all-time great. We respect you to the fullest. And we just appreciate the humility. Like, you got a lot of stuff going on. Like, you got fight after fight after fight after fight. For you to take the time to come on here, we appreciate that. And we can't wait to see you up there in Las Vegas in April.
Oh, yeah.
For Garcia versus we got to get a sit down 101, man. And we want to get them thoughts right before the fight.
Oh yeah.
And you better see the main event too. The execution and Bill.
Yeah, bro. The world will be buzzing now that you put that out there, man. So be ready for what's to come.
Yeah.
But dog, we appreciate you, man. Thanks for tuning in or thanks for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again real soon in Vegas.
Respect, man. And again, Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis is going to be the kickoff for bigger and better things, and it's just like that.
Y'all are setting it all in motion, brother. Well, I appreciate you,
man. The biggest instigator in boxing, Bernard Hopkins, man.
Correct.
All right, man. You have a good night, B-Hop. We appreciate you, dog. Take it easy. Great.
Hey, Jay, man. That was a great show, man. Shout out to everybody on here from the 214 to across the pond who got to witness that. We got a legend on here, and he came back and responded to the words that Bill Haney said. And We appreciate Bernard Hopkins. We appreciate Golden Boy, everything they do, man. We just appreciate them. Man.
Yeah, no doubt, dog. And I do appreciate how he don't want to keep it going back and forth. He said, I'm gonna say this one time, and just keep that same energy. I think that's the message I got from him. So nobody likes seeing this back and forth internet stuff. I don't think he does either. I just think as a man, he felt like he needed to address some of those low blows that were coming, man. So but anyway, dog, I know it's late. It's been over 2 hours. So have yourself a good night. Give the family a big hug from me, dog. And y'all subscribe, and y'all please cut this, copy, paste this, and share it with everybody. This was some big stuff we had coming out tonight. Even some breaking news with that Adrian Broner and hopefully breaking news.
Hey, I need to sign up to be a matchmaker, Jay.
Sure do, though. That was brilliant. We didn't even talk about that before.
Adrian Broner need to give me 2% or whatever they give him in Golden Boy.
Hey, it's about billions, dog. So 2% of that should be pretty nice.
Yeah, man. We can put that 2% in the TSB Warriors Foundation, and that'll do good. I want Adrian to do that.
All righty, bro. Well, have a good night, man. We'll talk to y'all soon.
We all have battles.
Wrong.
This is JJ Solomon.
This is Ray Bradshaw, Mr. RTBA. Mr. These boys can't touch me on my worst day. And this is the Spit Bucket Podcast.